President Trump is accusing 6 Democratic Congress members of being traitors. Representative Chrissy Houlihan of Chester and Berks counties is among them. The lawmakers, who are all veterans, posted a video to social media calling on U.S. service members to refuse illegal orders. The president labeled that video as seditious behavior, punishable by death. His comments sparked backlash from leaders on both sides of the aisle. ABC's Perry Russum has more now from Washington.
Bipartisan pushback on Capitol Hill against President Trump after he called several Democrats traitors, accusing them of seditious behavior punishable by death.
The words that the president chose are not the ones that I would use.
This puts all of our lives in jeopardy.
The president reacting to this video released by Democrats who served in the military or U.S. intelligence.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Telling service members they should not follow illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
Trump posting on social media the Democrats should be arrested and put on trial, saying their words cannot be allowed to stand, adding an example must be set. Trump also reposting several other accounts, including one saying, hang them, George Washington would.
Obviously, I don't think that these are crimes punishable by death.
The White House says Trump was not calling for the execution of the Democrats, but insists the lawmakers were encouraging members of the military to defy orders.
The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed.
This comes as Capitol Police say they are seeing a significant rise in threats against lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. The Democrats in that video now have extra protection. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Hey, shalom, shalom, all praises. Honor, glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishop, the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to you fellow brothers pushing his word in truth and sincerity. Shbach, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh. Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak, Wadash, Shalom. Shalom to all the believers out there fighting for their faith in these evil, wicked times. All right, the last days, a lot's going on. All right, the prophets are back. All right, to tell you 100% truth according to the scriptures. Okay, so this is going to be an in-transit lesson. I was going to do this lesson last night, but it was real late. So I said I'm going to do it first thing, when I wake up. All right, and run a couple errands. But, now I'm able to go ahead and do the lesson. And this is based upon Donald Nero Trump. Okay, in a post from his social media platform called Truth Social. All right, which is kind of like a Twitter. I'm not sure if he's on Twitter. I think they brought him back, but I believe he mainly posts on Truth Social. And basically it was a post, and I'll put it in post-production, or I'll put the link, something like that, or a screenshot. Basically him speaking about, I went the wrong way. Him speaking about, let me actually just bring it up. Okay, the cruel Lord. Okay, it was a post on his Truth Social, pretty much targeting the so-called Democrats. I believe the Democrats were basically, telling the military don't listen to Trump. It's a big back and forth, right? And he wrote, he basically said, it says seditious behavior punishable by death. Okay, seditious behavior punishable by death. Okay, and then there was he retweeted, or they call a retruth, okay, of somebody else basically saying, hang them, George Washington would. Okay, and this is based upon the back and forth political arguments between the right and the left, which they're working on the same team. But it just shows you that we're coming into the time where the death penalty is going to be brought back for, so-called crimes that people commit today that are not that, like the freedom of speech. If you say something that is against the government, they can classify that as sedition. Let's look at the word. We know what it is, but just for edification's sake, first we have to understand what does the word sedition mean. Sedition meaning. Okay? Why would Donald Trump basically say sedition punishable by death? And then I'm going to get another article because it was a big thing, because he had to come back and say that's not actually what he meant. He didn't mean that, he's going to, put people to death, the Democrats. That's not what he meant, but he did mean that, because it's setting the precedent for the time that we're coming in, a time like no other. All right, the devil coming down unto you having great wrath, because he has but a short time. The word sedition is conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. Okay, he's the king. He's the king of Babylon. And basically, the Democrats basically told, I forget exactly what they said, but basically not to listen to Trump, and he classified that as sedition, which you could say, yeah, it possibly is. He classified that as sedition. Okay, and if you don't do what he says, or you speak out against it, because look, what we're doing, speaking the truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, bringing out the scriptures, that also is going to be labeled as sedition. So you see how easily, if they set that precedent, okay, and make particular of these things illegal, then that can open up the door, all right, to them saying any type of speech is seditious. So we can see how the scriptures are, manifesting. Because we're gonna bring out 2 Ezra 15, because it speaks about how there should be sedition, how they're gonna be, people are gonna speak and fight and incite, rebellion against the government. So we know what sedition is, right? So let me go to, and he had a couple of posts over the years calling for the death penalty. Okay, bringing that back. Make America great again. Okay, that's the spirit that he's in. That's the spirit that the Edomites are in. They're coming down with that great wrath, and they're setting the stage. All they need is a couple of more, psychological operations. The people are ready. All right, let me get this Isaiah 19, because it goes into the cruel Lord. But let me read Isaiah 19:2 first. Okay, this is Isaiah 19:2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Now, this is not talking about ancient Egypt. Okay, this is talking about spiritual Egypt. Revelation 11:2 or 11:8, excuse me. Revelation 11:8. It speaks about how their cities, their bodies shall lie in the great city, which is spiritually Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Meaning the Israelites in a dead mindset, not knowing who they are, following after the other nations, calling themselves different ethnicity groups, okay, not knowing who their God is, okay, being spiritually dead, right, in America, right, the great city, but it would be known spiritually as Egypt, because it mimics pretty much all the qualities of Egypt, okay, the demonic energy that Egypt came in. Egypt brought death. Egypt was all about death. Okay, they worship death, and that's pretty much here in Babylon the Great. They worship death. Okay, bear with me. Let me just park this car so I get a little bit more situated. Okay. So it says, and I will set the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And once Trump came into office, there was like a heightened state of, political back and forth, so-called political violence, the left against the right. And they're fueling that. And Trump is playing that character beautifully. Because remember, these guys are nothing but actors. The actor known as Donald Trump.
I believe I heard the first time I heard that was I think that was Richie from Boston. You know, the actor known as Donald Trump. Yeah, because they're all playing a part. Okay, so Esau is fighting against Esau. Okay, the Democrats say something, and then the Republicans fight against it. The Republicans say something, the Democrats fight against it. But that's all show. But that spirit is amongst the regular population. They actually believe that. Okay. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And that's what's happening. The spirit of Egypt, right? Everybody's sick. Everybody's unhappy with the current state of the government. You know, they believe that, you know, if they put somebody else in there that, you know, America's going to be get back to normal or whatever it may be, or Trump is the right guy to be in there. And he needs to drain the swamp, and he's fighting for the people. He's fighting for the American, when the whole time he's waging war against the American people. Okay, he's affecting his base. Or a lot of his base, the people, his supporters, are actually leaving the so-called Republican, party, because he's saying one thing and doing the other, which is the same tactic that, all right, these politicians use. Okay, it's literally the same. It's literally the same tactic. And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to idols and to charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and the wizards. Yeah, more people are going to be moving over to, roll this window up, goddamn B. More people are going to be, bear with me. More people are moving towards witchcraft. I mean, look, man, these people are completely bugged out. They actually don't know nothing that's going on. Especially Jake. When I say Jake, meaning Jacob, our people have no clue what the hell is going on. Absolutely no clue. Okay, they've drunken off of that Babylonian juice, that wine. Okay, they're always under some type of substance. Okay, and furthermore, again, like I reference Revelation 11:8, they're in a dead state. Okay, so you got Jake moving around spiritually dead. Ezekiel spoke about this in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, the valley of the dry bones. That valley, a valley is a low land. That's America. Okay. Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. And this is what it's looking like. It's looking like Donald Nero Trump, okay, is that cruel Lord. He's literally calling for, all right, the death penalty. Okay, the death penalty, which we know those guillotines are going to be brought back. He's actually calling for the death penalty for seditious behavior, meaning, let's go back to that definition. Conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So if you say something against, the president, you say something against the Republican Party, you say something against the America, well, they made it illegal, all right, to burn a flag now. You used to be able to burn the so-called American flag, the U.S. flag. It was your right. It was your right to freedom to do certain these things. Now, when Trump came in, he's like, nah, I believe it's punishable. It's so much a fine and punishable up to like a year or something like that in jail. So he's little by little, he's making what people had, freedom to say this, to say that. He's making it to where, you're going to be punished for it. And not just that, put to death. Okay, you think that it's not going to get that far? Well, you are completely out of your mind if you think that it's not going to get that far. According to the scriptures, it's going to get that far to where they're going to be actually grabbing people up and putting people to death. You have it in these different countries like the UK. There's really they don't really have freedom of speech out there. Okay, Russia, China, Korea's. You don't have North Korea, I should say. You don't have free speech. If you say something against the government in China, you're going to be disappeared. Okay, or you're going to be turned off economically, and this is what they're going to do. They're gonna basically turn people off economically through this RFID microchip, and we can see the system being set up. Okay, we can see the system being set up. Okay, with a digital ID. All right, and with digital currencies. And I will give, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord of hosts. So the fierce king, is that Donald Trump, the cruel Lord? He's being very cruel, saying if let me get the article. Because there's a lot. This is recent, within the last couple of days. Let me see, where am I? Okay, yep. It's a lot of articles on it. So much is going on, that you can hardly cover everything. That's why it's a body. So this is updated November 20th, 2025. So a couple of days ago. Today's the 24th. So 4 days ago. Let's see. This is from NPR.org, but there's a lot of, pretty much all your mainstream media platforms have covered this. And of course, the left leaning what's it called, media outlets, they're really exacerbating it. Okay. White House condemns Democratic lawmakers video, but backs off Trump's post. Okay. They're not really touching Trump's post of him saying, basically put him to death. That should be the bring back public hangings, firing squads, guillotines. Okay. And in all the pictures that you see Trump in, you hardly see him, smiling. Okay. Like this picture here, he, from the NPR.org, the picture of, on the article, he's looking very fierce. He's looking very like no nonsense. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, which is she a small hat? Said Thursday President Trump does not actually want to see members of Congress executed, despite his social media post earlier in the day calling a video by some members seditious behavior punishable by death. So there was a video that they made, basically, coming against Trump. You know how it is, the back and forth, all that bullshit. And basically Trump put on his post like, yeah, this type of behavior should be punishable by death. But then the press secretary had to come back like, no, he's not actually saying that these people need to be put to death. Trump made a pair of posts on his site, Truth Social. And when you go on there, that shit is crazy. The shit that he's saying, man. When you go on Truth Social and you look at all this, we do multiple posts a day, which of course he's not in control of it. He has he has handlers. Everything the thing about Trump is like, he's wild though, so he'll just say whatever, which will get him in trouble. And they like that. Okay. Trump made a pair of posts on his site, Truth Social, in response to a video post by Reps Jason Crow. I think that's from a Democratic Colorado, Chris De Luzio. All right. All these different, it's like 7-8 of these guys, right? It says where the lawmakers addressed members of the military and intelligence community and said, you can refuse illegal orders. See? So basically they made a video and say, hey, look, you can refuse illegal orders. Basically putting it out there like, hey, you can defy, you could defy the President Donald Trump's orders. Okay, they're not constitutional. So they're putting that caveat there. They're putting that, what's the word? Ambiguous. That's very ambiguous. Because they're not saying to defy the law. They're saying you can defy illegal orders. But what classifies an illegal order? It can all be interpreted differently from different people. Repeating the phrase several times before saying you must refuse illegal orders. So they're setting the stage for the right against the left. And political violence, but that's all going to be used against the American people. See, that's the thing, right? Because none of these actual congressmen and people in the Democrat and Republican Party, none of them are really. I mean, of course, they might not like each other in particular places because humans, but they're all working for the same team. They're all being given a script and what to do, and these words are being used as witchcraft. These words are being used as enchantments, because this is subconsciously programming the people's mind. Refuse orders. Refuse. You don't listen to Donald Trump, which what is going to break the cohesion within the government. Okay, which is going to make the people rebel against the government. That's what they want. And for why do they want that? So they can come in and they can bring the orders. They can bring emergency power. Trump can have emergency powers, or whoever's in that office. The lawmaker said this administration is pitting our ununiformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens. Like you have the ICE, which is nothing other than a secret military. Okay. And they have workarounds. Okay. They have Trump, there's White House lawyers to say, okay, you know what, this is legal, or let's do this. It might not be super illegal, but we can fight it in the court, but we can do this. We can do that. Okay. So what ICE is doing is really actually illegal, but it doesn't matter because Esau doesn't follow by the rules. He sets the rules. When you're in power, you can set the rules. If you don't like something, and he's unjust, if he doesn't like something, he can just say, you know what, let's do away with it. Right? The video posted to Facebook also says, right now, the threats of our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but right here at home. See? So they're setting the stage for these different, basically civil war, and it's not going to be like the Civil War, back in the 1800s. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a little different. You're going to have places where there's going to be, one perfect example of that is when you watch the movie Civil War that came out just a couple of years ago, right? And the president that was in there, he was playing the role of Donald Trump. Okay. And you had those that, had allegiance to him. And then you had, those that rebelled and started their own government. Okay. To overthrow the government that was in power. So there was like a split. So basically what they're doing, they're trying to split the military and the intelligent agencies, the FBI, the CIA, all those, DHS. They're trying to bring a split there. Okay. This is all to take down America. Remember, the elites, they want to take down America so they can implement this system. Okay. It says, let's see. It says they added, no one has to carry out orders that violate the law of our Constitution. See? So they're sowing discord, basically, right? They're sowing discord between. Let me get a little Matthew. I'm sorry. I mean, it's in Matthew too, but let me get Mark actually. This is another sign that this place is going down. Okay. And now the elites, they want to use this chaos to bring in their order, and they will establish a particular order. They will establish the RFID microchip. They will establish that. But see, that's its very end. So everything that's going on is leading to that very, very fact. Okay, but they have to cause major distractions. Okay, before that can happen. Okay. Mark 3 and 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So a kingdom cannot stand if there's division all the way at the top. In this so-called two-party system where you have leadership calling for violence against the other party. How the hell are they able to do this, right? This is the government. They're literally, Trump saying, look, that behavior should be classified as death. The left is saying you don't even have to follow his orders. What is that going to lead to? Okay, what's that going to lead to? That's going to lead to civil war. That's going to lead to civil unrest. That's going to lead to, the government having to come down with more harshness because there's domestic terrorism, which they labeled Antifa, right? Which everybody knows who funds Antifa, but these so-called George Soros, but nobody, he's never been brought to court. Right? Isn't that crazy? They can the right, Fox News and all that can tell you, oh, this was started, George Soros funded these, but he's never brought to court. Make that make sense. None of these individuals are ever, justice never goes forth, man. Okay? Because it's a big fucking game. It's a big scam to destroy the people, really to, imprison the whole planet, man. So a kingdom divided against itself, it can't stand. Meaning what? America's going down. This is all part of the plan of the Heavenly Father. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but has an end. So it's basically Satan against Satan. Okay, Satan here in America, Esau comes in the spirit of Satan. He does the bidding of Satan. So Satan is fighting against Satan. Okay, and that's going to basically mess up America. You got to ask yourself, has America gotten better? Okay, has there been more prosperity? Has there been more love? Has there been more unity, or is there more division? And who's spreading what's it called? Putting more coals on the fire is the ones that are actually in leadership. These people that believe in these parties, they're like fanatics, like, sports fans, sports, politics, and religion. That's like, those are three topics that are very, very, emotion. A lot of emotions rise up when you bring out religion, like your beliefs in religion, when you bring out your beliefs in politics, and in sports. You got people that look at these sports teams, they'll be fighting against each other at the game, the fans. Literally, it's a fucking game. It's an actual, look, it's an actual game. But the fans are so invested, okay, that they'll literally fight each other. And certain people have died over the years just because of one person might have said, F the other team, they suck, that team player sucks, or whatever, or so-called disrespect the team, So the same thing in politics. Or you disrespect my party, you're evil. Because the right thinks the left is evil and the left thinks the right is evil. It's the same fucking thing. You're both Satan. Let me get 2 Ezra 15. I'm not going to make this long. Okay, it's the same fucking thing. But this is more fuel to the fire. All right, this gives us, all right, a deeper understanding of the scriptures and how the scriptures are true. It reinforces, all right, what the Heavenly Father has said about concerning the prophecy and what will be happening in the end times. Okay, these nations fighting against each other, man. Okay, Esau fighting against each other. The cohesion that held everything up in America is crumbling. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Bear with me. So this is 2 Ezra 15. I'm going to go to the point. Okay. Verse 15. For the sword and the destruction. Let me read 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe meaning destruction. So not only here in America, which America's going to get it the worst, America's going to be completely wiped out. Because this is all going to lead to World War III. Okay? The nations headed by Russia, Ra'ash Shah, the chief prince, headed by him, they're going to shoot their nuclear missiles here on America. That's the end of America. Meanwhile, simultaneously, the elect being beamed up into the chariots, what the people ignorantly call UAPs or UFOs. Those are the chariots of Israel, the chariots of salvation. And they're also the curse, too. They're a curse unto the wicked. They're going to be shooting concentrated fire, adding more fuel to the fire, participating in the destruction of Babylon the Great and all our enemies. Okay, so it's woe. Not only is this happening in America, but it's going to be happening in all these different countries. Okay, you see an influx of governments being overthrown, influx of people coming against the government over, mad about this, mad about that. The scriptures say when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So obviously the righteous are not in authority, obviously. Verse 15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. See? So the modern day sword, which the sword is a killing instrument, the modern day sword is the gun. So you're going to have a lot of people killing each other. There's going to be skirmishes. Just like in the movie Civil War. You had it to where, and I didn't fully explain it, you had it to where there was, in particular parts of America, there was like business as usual. There was quiet towns and, you can go to the store and this and that and this. And then in other parts of America, you had, individuals fighting against the government. Different forces fighting against each other. Other parts, there was nothing going on. It was regular. Okay. Verse 16, it says, for there shall be sedition. And we read that definition, conduct or speech. Okay. Basically coming against the government or the power. Okay. And if you say, anything, you can say you can say anything, what Trump is doing is wrong, or what the Republicans doing is wrong, or I don't like the digital ID. Well, that could be deemed as sedition. Okay, or you say that, America's going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire in this upcoming war with Russia. That can be deemed as sedition. Esau can make any talking point, seditious. Okay, the scriptures speak about how they make a man offender for a word. They hateth him that rebuketh in the gate. Okay, so what we're speaking is going to be classified as sedition. Violence of, inciting riots or conduct against the government that is not good in their eyes. Okay, but it tells us that this is what's actually going to be happening. For there shall be sedition among men, see, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, just like those Democratic lawmakers. Okay, I believe were they congressmen, or I think were they congressmen or congressmen and women? Yeah, members of Congress. They basically said you don't have to listen to the president's orders. Why? Because they're not lawful. So right there, look, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. It's going to actually come to a point where you're going to have individuals within the ranks of the military, within the ranks of the intelligence agencies. Okay, they're going to, not abide by the orders of the commander in chief, and they could possibly split off, make their own, allegiances or alliances with, other groups, to come against, to overthrow. And this is how you overthrow a government, is you got to break up the military, because the president is only as powerful as his ability to command the military and the different police forces. If he doesn't have that on his side, okay, then, he doesn't have power. His power is in him able to command the military. So if that's the case, and the different spy agencies and shit like that that do assassinations and shit. If there's a breakup in that, then the shit, America can just be overthrown. And basically, that's what the elites want anyway, is they want to overthrow America. It's basically a coup. So it's what they call they're calling a soft coup. Let's look at that. They're calling this a soft coup. They're setting the stage for an actual coup to happen. Soft. What is a soft coup? Yeah, a soft coup is the illegal overthrow of a government that is achieved without the use of force or violence. Unlike a traditional coup d'etat, it is not characterized by military action, but is often achieved through through illegal means such as manipulating the legal system or exploiting constitutional loopholes. Isn't that not what's going on? Isn't that not what's going on? Which the rumor is Trump wants a third term. So he's exploiting the constitutional loopholes. Okay. All right. He's, manipulating the legal system. You see how many times did they brought him to court? Okay. He was charged with so many different charges and he got off. Felony charges. Okay. Because they can manipulate the court system. Okay. So they want to overthrow. So it's a one-party system. There is no political opposition. Okay. It also refers to as a silent coup or a bloodless coup, which they're trying to do that, but it's going to turn bloody. It's going to turn violent. Okay. Method can include a judicial coup, where the illegal system is used to remove a leader, and you have the Democrats, trying to remove Trump, and now they're calling for, the military and the intelligence agencies and stuff like that not to follow orders, man. So you can see where this is going. Verse 17, 2 Corinthians 15:17. Let me read 16 again. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. I didn't finish that, right? The kings and princes is speaking about the government. Okay, the police forces, the different, governors, the congressmen, the president, the attorney generals, the sheriffs, the kings and princes, the ones that, govern, and keep, this kingdom in order. The people are not going to regard it. And you have individuals in the congressmen that are able to say this, don't follow orders. So Trump came back and said, hey, look, really, that's sedition. That should bring the death penalty. So you see how they're already setting the stage for these things to happen. And then that can be, that label can be brought on anybody now. Anybody that wants to fight against the system or say something against you. Got a Facebook post. All right. And you say something, say something that they deem seditious. Well, they're going to come see you. They might throw your ass in a concentration camp. Ultimately, they might put your ass to death. That's what's coming. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. The people are going to rebel. They're going to rebel against the powers. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. There's going to be, what's it called? What do they call that? Well, you have people, not allow you to go into different cities. They're going to click up and marauders and shit like that. Or, they're going to stop your ability to leave your 15-minute city. All right, your digital ID is not going to be able to have access to go into a particular area. Okay, and then you'll have curfews, and you have military roadblocks. All right, what's your identification? Now you can't come over here. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the house is destroyed, and men shall be afraid. That's the time we're coming into. And we're telling you, and you got these other Israelites not speaking about the more important matters, man. Prophecy. We just showed you that they're not prophets. They're not they are prophets, they're false prophets. I'll say that. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay, so that's the time that we're coming into, and you can't stop this train, man. Okay, you can't stop this train. You can't stop prophecy. That's what the scriptures say is going to happen. So that's what's going to happen. And we see that all the way at the top, at the highest level of government, they're fighting against each other. But after they do that front, they're all buddies. They all rub shoulders. They be going to dinner parties. They laughing. You know, it's WWE. Okay, one person is going to play the villain, the other person is going to play the hero. Okay, you're going to say this, you're going to say that. Okay, you're going to hit me here. I'm a hit me pretty good. I'm a fall. Hit me over the head with a chair. Okay, and I'm gonna slam you from off the ropes, and then in the contract I win. So but put up a good fight. And even to this day, you got this culture surrounded WWE wrestling, and them crowds be big as fuck. Okay, of people who actually believe it's real. It's a script. They're pulling on the heartstrings. They know how to manipulate you and bring out emotions, man. It's all witchcraft. So hey, I'm gonna close it here until next time. Shalom to the light.